Most business owners don't have a marketing problem. They have a dependency problem. Their marketing works when they're in it, when they're posting consistently, following up promptly, showing up on socials, sending the emails. The moment that life accelerates, a big client project, a board commitment, a season of delivery, the marketing stops. And when the marketing stops, so does the pipeline. Now, that's not a strategy, that's a treadmill. A real marketing system doesn't stop working when you step away from it. It has moving parts that compound quietly in the background. It has a controllable tap that you can turn up when the pipeline needs filling fast, and it has a minimum rhythm that keeps leads moving through even when your week looks nothing like you planned. In this episode, that's exactly what we're building. Welcome to the Digital Success for Business podcast. I'm Leanne Cohens, founder of Marketing Leap, and for over 13 years, I've helped business owners build marketing that actually supports their growth, not just their to-do list. In the last episode, we talked about why 90-day marketing plans fail, not because the strategy is wrong, but because they're built for an ideal version of your life that doesn't exist. And if you haven't listened to that one, go back. It sets everything up for what we're covering today, because this episode is the other side of that conversation. Once you understand why the pipeline drains, the next question is obvious. How do you build something that keeps working even when you're deep in delivery, sitting at a board meeting or a community meeting, leading a community organization, or simply having a season where the business needs you more than the marketing does? The answer isn't more content, and it isn't more platforms, and it certainly isn't more tools. It's a system, a connected intentional marketing system with 3 distinct layers that work together so that your business stays visible, credible, and keeps attracting the right people with or without you being constantly on. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what those layers are, how they fit together, and where paid advertising sits as the one lever that you can turn up or pull back on, depending on exactly where your pipeline is at. So let's get into it. Let me give you a framework that changes the way you think about marketing entirely. Most business owners think about marketing as a list of activities. Post on Instagram, send the email, record the podcast, run some ads, update the website, and they do those things inconsistently, reactively, and usually in whatever order feels the most urgent that week. Marketing system is different. It's not a list of activities. It's a structure. 3 distinct layers, each doing a specific job and each feeding the next. And when all 3 are working together, your marketing stops feeling like something you do and starts feeling like something that runs. And here's how I think about it. Layer 1 is your authority foundation. This is the content that compounds over time. It's your podcast, your YouTube, your blog, your website content, your LinkedIn articles, your SEO. None of this delivers instant results, but it does something nothing else can. It builds trust at scale with people you've never met before they ever reach out to you. This is the layer most business owners have some version of already. The podcast that's been running for 2 years, the website that ranks quietly for a handful of search terms, the LinkedIn profile that positions you as the expert in your space. The mistake that most people make with this layer is expecting it to fill the pipeline directly, and it doesn't. Not quickly, anyway. What it does is warm the room so that when someone does find you through a referral, a search result, or a reel that landed in front of the right person, they already feel like they know you. They've heard your voice, they've read your thinking, they trust you before the conversation even starts. That trust is worth more than any ad you'll ever run. But trust alone doesn't pay the bills, which is why you need layer 2. And layer 2 is your conversion engine. This is the part of your system that takes the warm audience your authority content has built and moves them towards a decision. Your email list, your lead magnets, your nurture sequences, your ManyChat flows, your direct offer posts, your case studies and client results, your strategy calls. This is where most business owners have the biggest gap. They've built a reasonable authority foundation. The podcast exists, the content goes out, the audience is there. But there's no bridge between content and the conversation. No consistent mechanism for taking someone from interested to inquiring. Layer 2 is the bridge. And it doesn't have to be complex. A well-structured email list with a simple nurture sequence, a lead magnet that attracts the right person and delivers immediate value, a mini chat flow that starts a conversation the moment someone engages with your content, or even a weekly direct offer that names what you sell and makes it easy for them to take the next step. Simple, connected, and consistent. When layer 2 is working, your authority content stops just building awareness and starts generating actual conversations. People move from listener to lead, from follower to inquiry, from warm audience member to booked call. And then there's layer 3, the one that gives you control. Layer 3 is your paid tab. This is your paid advertising, Meta, Google, LinkedIn. And unlike the first 2 layers, this one is not about compounding over time. It's about speed and control. And here's how I want you to think about paid ads. Not as a permanent, always-on expense, and not as something that you set up once and leave running, but as a tap. When your pipeline is healthy, you turn it back. When your pipeline needs filling fast, you turn it on. When you're launching a new offer, you turn it up. And when you're at capacity, you pull it back. That's it. A controllable, intentional lever that amplifies what already works in layers 1 and 2. But here's the critical point, and this is where so many businesses get burned with paid ads. The tap only works if there's a system behind it. Paid ads don't fix broken messaging, and they don't compensate for a website that doesn't convert. They don't build trust that isn't already there. What they do is take whatever is already working in your marketing and put it in front of more of the right people faster. Which means if your messaging is unclear, ads make that more expensive. If your website doesn't convert, ads make that more obvious. And if your follow-up system is weak, ads make that more painful. Get the foundation right first, then turn on the tap. And let's be real about paid advertising, because the landscape has shifted significantly in the last 12 months. And if you're running ads the way you were 2 or even 3 years ago, chances are you're either seeing inconsistent results, spending more for the same return, or feeling like platforms are making decisions that you certainly didn't sign off on. And that last one is particularly relevant right now. Meta completed a significant overhaul of its entire ad delivery system at the end of 2025. The update is called Andromeda. And while there's a lot of technical detail behind it, what you actually need to understand as a business owner comes down to this. Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, has moved from a system where your targeting did the heavy lifting to a system where your creative does. Previously, you could define a fairly specific audience, interests, behaviors, demographics, and trust that your ad would reach roughly the right people. Under the new system, Meta's AI reads the content of your ad, the visuals, the copy, the hook, and uses that to decide who sees it. Your targeting settings have become, in Meta's own language, suggestions rather than instructions. Yet for some businesses, particularly for those with strong creative and clear messaging, this has been a positive shift. For others, especially those relying on narrow audience targeting and older campaign structures, it's been very destabilizing. Case in point, the client who targeted fathers and had his ad suddenly, after months, showing to 60-year-old women due to Meta's working on suggested audiences. My honest position on this? Parts of it make sense. If your creative is compelling, your message is clear, and the system rewards that. And broad targeting, when your foundation is right, can actually surface audiences you wouldn't have thought to target manually. But parts of it, I'm still watching very carefully. Advantage Plus, Meta's fully automated campaign option, hands a significant amount of control to the algorithm. Budget decisions, placement decisions, audience decisions, even creative decisions, all automated. And for SMEs with specific audiences, considered purchase decisions, and service-based offers that require genuine trust before someone inquires, that level of automation doesn't always serve you well. My recommendation for most SMEs right now is this: keep Advantage Plus switched off. Maintain control over your targeting parameters, even if they've become suggestions rather than hard rules. Focus your energy on the quality and variety of your creative, because that is now the primary signal that the system uses. And build your campaigns around a proper chat funnel rather than sending cold traffic directly to a landing page. Which brings me to something that is working extremely well for service-based businesses right now, and a lot of our clients in that area, the meta chat funnel. Instead of running ads that send people to a website, you run ads that open a conversation directly in Messenger or Instagram DMs. The ad creates the context, the conversation qualifies the lead, and a well-built mini-chat flow handles the initial exchange automatically, asking the right questions, delivering the right resource, and moving the right people towards a booking or an inquiry. For businesses selling considered services, strategy sessions, retainers, fractional support, like we do, this approach works because it mirrors how trust actually builds. People don't click an ad and immediately hand over their credit card for a high-value service. They ask questions, they get a feel for who you are, and they want to know you understand their problem before they commit to a conversation. A chat funnel gives them that on-ramp. And when it's connected properly to your email list, to your CRM, and to your follow-up sequence, every conversation becomes a data point. You know what people are asking. You know where they're hesitating. You know which message is landing and which isn't. That's first-party data that you own, not borrowed from a platform that can change its rules overnight. And now what about Google? Google still works, particularly for businesses where people are actively searching for what you offer. If someone types marketing strategy consultant on the Gold Coast into Google, they have intent. And yes, we are still receiving calls from Google, as are our clients. People are looking, and a well-structured Google campaign with the right landing page can convert that intent into a conversation. The difference between Google and Meta is fundamentally this. Google captures existing demand, people who are already looking for what you do. Meta creates that demand. It puts your message in front of people who didn't know that they were looking yet, but who, with the right creative and the right message, realize that you're exactly what it is that they need. For most SMEs, the smartest approach is both. Google for intent capture, Meta for demand creation, LinkedIn ads for B2B positioning and direct relationship building, particularly if your ideal client is a business owner, a director, or a senior decision maker. And here at Marketing Leap, we do all three for our service and fractional CMO clients. But here's what matters more than which platform you choose, the system behind the ad, because the tap only works when there's something worth flowing into. Clear messaging, a website that converts, a follow-up sequence that nurtures, a conversation that builds trust, an offer that's easier to say yes to. Get that right and paid ads become one of the most controllable levers in your entire marketing system. Get it wrong and you're just paying to find out your foundations need work. So what does this actually look like in practice? Because this is where most marketing advice falls apart. It sounds logical in theory. Build your authority foundation, nurture your audience, run smart paid ads, turn the tap up and down as needed, and then Monday arrives. You've got a client deliverable due by noon, 2 papers to review by Thursday, a team member who needs support, and approximately 45 minutes of actual thinking time before the week swallows you whole. So let's talk about what realistic looks like, not the ideal version, not the full content calendar with 5 posts a week and a weekly email and monthly webinar and quarterly campaign, the minimum, the non-negotiable floor that keeps your pipeline moving even when everything else is competing for your attention. And I want you to think about this as 3 tiers. Tier 1 is your protect at all cost activities. These are the things that if you do nothing else in a given week, you do these. They are small enough to be genuinely non-negotiable and important enough to move the needle. 1 direct offer or pipeline activation per week. Not value post, not an educational piece, a direct, clear, this is what I offer and here's how to take the next step in communication. That might be a LinkedIn post, an email to your list, a direct message to a warm contact, a story with a swipe up, 1 thing every week without exception. one new conversation with someone who isn't already a client, not a sales call necessarily, a genuine conversation, a response to a comment that goes deeper than the comment thread, a follow-up to a past inquiry, a check-in with a referral partner. One new conversation every week keeps your network warm and your pipeline moving even in the quietest seasons. And your weekly content anchor. For me, that's this podcast. Every second Wednesday it goes live with the YouTube video version the following week on the Saturday. The email goes out every week. The social content follows. That rhythm stays protected regardless of what else is happening in my world, because it's the engine that keeps the authority compounding in the background. Those three things, or your version of them in your business, protect them. Tier 2 is when your capacity allows activities. These are the things that accelerate results when you have more time and energy available. A case study post, a client result shared on LinkedIn, a longer form article, a reel series from the podcast, a lead magnet promotion, a reactivation email to past clients or cold inquiries. These aren't optional in the long term, they're essential for growth, but they're flexible in their timing. So when life is full, they can wait. When capacity opens up, they're the first things back on the list. Tier 3 is your quarterly reset. Every 90 days before you build the next plan, you do 1 honest hour of review. Not a full strategy overhaul, 1 hour, 4 questions. How many new conversations did I have this quarter with people who aren't already clients? Where did my best leads actually come from? What content connected and what disappeared without a trace? And what one thing, if I did it consistently next quarter, would make the biggest difference to my pipeline? 4 questions, 1 hour, every 90 days. That review tells you more about what your marketing actually needs than any annual strategy document ever will, because it's based on what really happened, not what you plan to happen. Now, here's where I want to address something directly, because I know what some of you are thinking. Leanne, I already know all of this. I know I should be doing the outreach. I know I should be posting that direct offer. I know the pipeline needs attention. The problem isn't knowing. The problem is doing it consistently when everything else feels more urgent. Knowing the system isn't the same as having the system. And having the system isn't the same as having someone who makes sure that the system actually runs. And this is exactly why the businesses that grow most consistently aren't necessarily the ones with the best strategy documents. They're the ones with the clearest accountability. Someone in their corner who holds the strategic view when the business owner is deep in delivery. Someone who notices when the pipeline tap has been sitting at 0 for 3 weeks and does something about it before it becomes a 3-month problem. For some business owners, that accountability comes from a mastermind group or a peer network. For others, it comes from a strategic coach or advisor. And for a growing number of established SMEs, it comes from a fractional marketing lead. Someone who steps into the business with senior level strategy, keeps the system running, and makes sure the minimum non-negotiables are protected, even when the owner is doing everything else that running a business demands. Because the goal was never to do more marketing. The goal was always to build something that works without you having to hold every single piece of it together yourself. So let's bring this together. A marketing system that actually keeps you working has 3 layers. The authority foundation that compounds quietly over time, building trust with people before they ever reach out. A conversion engine that bridges the gap between your audience and your pipeline so that warm leads actually become conversations. And a paid tap that you control, turning up when the pipeline needs filling, pulling back when capacity is full. None of those layers require you to be constantly on. None of them require a full-time marketing team, and none of them require you to choose between running your business and growing it. But they do require a decision to stop treating marketing as something that you get to when everything else is done, because everything else is never done. There will always be a client deliverable, a board paper, a team issue, a season of delivery that feels more urgent than the pipeline. This system protects you from that. The minimum rhythm holds the floor. And the strategic oversight, whether that comes from you, a trusted advisor, or someone stepping in as your marketing lead, make sure that the whole thing keeps moving in the right direction. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, I know I need this, but I don't have the time or the headspace to build it myself right now, I want to tell you about 2 ways that we can help you at Marketing Leap. The first is the VIP Strategy Intensive. This is a focused 4-hour working session, a half day, where we build your 90-day marketing roadmap together. Not a generic plan, your plan, based on your offers, your audience, your capacity, and where your pipeline actually is right now. You walk away with a complete 90-day content and marketing roadmap tailored specifically to your business. Templates, frameworks, and AI prompts that you can reuse immediately. A publishing and activity calendar that keeps you consistent without the overwhelm, and a clear picture of exactly what to stop, start, and scale over the next 90 days. And if we're meeting over Zoom, you get the full recording as well. No fluff, no overwhelm, just clarity and a plan that you can actually follow. Now, the VIP Strategy Intensive is $9.95, and everything that we've talked about in these last 2 episodes, the 3 layers, the minimum rhythm, the paid tap, all of it gets built into your roadmap in that session. And you can book that directly at marketingleap.net. The link is in the show notes and in the YouTube description below. The second is our fractional CMO service. Now, this is for established business owners who are done trying to piece the marketing together themselves. You've got a strong business, a real offer, a team, revenue, but the marketing is still sitting on your shoulders, and it's the one thing that never quite gets the strategic attention it needs. Our fractional CMO clients are typically businesses turning over $500,000 or more, with a complex or considered sales cycle, no dedicated internal marketing team, and a founder who is ready to hand over the marketing leadership to someone who will actually own it. Think of it as having a senior marketing director in your corner without the overhead of a full-time salary. We manage the strategy, the systems, the campaigns, the content direction, and the performance. You stay focused on running your business. If that sounds like where you are right now, reach out directly through marketingleap.net and let's have a conversation about whether it's the right fit. Because the goal has never been more marketing. It's always been the right marketing built into a system that works, led by somebody who knows what they're doing. Strategy first, tools second, and a system that keeps working even when life gets full. So make sure that you're subscribed on your favorite streaming platform so you don't miss what's coming next. Because in the next episode, we're tackling something that's quietly affecting every single business with an online presence right now. AI search. Not just how it works, but whether your business is actually showing up on it. Because right now, 80% of Google searches are ending without a single click. People are getting answers directly from AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity. And if your business isn't being referenced in those answers, you're invisible in more places than you think. That episode's coming next, and you don't want to miss it. And if today's episode gave you something to think about, share it with another business owner who needs to hear it. The best compliment you can give this podcast is putting it in front of someone it might actually help. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Digital Success for Business podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on YouTube for even more tips.